Alright, boys and girls, sit down, because sit down. English, Brett. English. Sit down. It is time for a little story. 3 to be in fact. You know, when it comes down to it, a lot of us are gamers. You know, we enjoy this hobby. We like playing video games. There was a floating piece of debris. We like playing games. We enjoy this hobby. It's something that has really resonated with our souls as we've grown up. It's something that probably started off as a childhood thing. You know, we were bored, so we played a game. But as we got older, we got invested in stories, characters, a lot of different information that just really tickled our imaginations. When it comes down to it, though, there's always a possibility that we could have gone down a different path. An opportunity to get something instead of something else, you know, getting the wrong system, getting the right system. A lot of different things have happened to us over our lifetime to shape us into the type of gamer that we are. Today, I just wanted to tell you 3 different stories about how I became who I am and the different situations that occurred to cause this sort of thing. These aren't very long stories. I hope I don't stretch them out too far. I hope this video is entertaining for you. But I just wanted to recall 3 events in my life that shaped me into who I am today as a gamer. And when it comes down to it, I think the first thing I want to go over is how I first developed my love of first-person shooters. So this should be interesting. Believe it or not, there was a time in which I hated the idea of playing a game in first person. I had grown up with side-scrollers and third-person adventure games. I had played things like Ape Escape, Devil May Cry, you know, the regular stuff. When it came down to it, though, I just didn't like the idea of first-person games. And first-person shooters had been around for a while. But I just wasn't a big fan of them. I thought it was a little bit weird. I didn't like the idea of not being able to see my character. I liked to have a good perspective of what I was doing and where the environment I was doing it in. So I wasn't a fan of first-person shooters at all. Here's what happened, though. I was a big fan of horror. I had played Silent Hill and loved the shit out of it. So I enjoyed scary games, and I was open to trying new things. I remember one day I was in a GameStop with my friend. We were kids. We were, in the lower grades of high school, I think, at this point. To give you an idea of like how long I've enjoyed first-person shooters. I was a teenager before I ever started playing them. So, we were hanging out at GameStop one day looking for something, and he's just like, man, I've been trying to find this game, and I can't find it anywhere. And, of course, my luck fluctuates at different times, and I was like, you mean this game? And I held it up. And he was like, yeah, that game. I've been trying to find that forever. And I was like, what even is this? He's like, it's a first-person shooter horror game. You need to try it. So we took it back to his house, and I was a little reluctant at playing it because, again, it was a first-person shooter, and I didn't like first-person shooters. So, I started playing it, and after a while, I kind of got hooked on it. I thought it was just the right level of creepy. I thought it had just the right amount of first-person action. I had never realized, being in a first-person situation, you could very easily maneuver out of the way of enemies, circle strafe, do a lot of different things that you either could or could not do in other types of games with third-person combat. Not to say there aren't games that have, lightning-fast speed, but most of the stuff I had played that was in third-person horror at that point was rather clunky, like Resident Evil or Silent Hill. But I played and played and played this game. I spent the next 2 days just playing this game. And back then I wasn't as good as I am now, so at one point I was just like, can you give me some cheat codes? This game's kicking my ass. I got no health. And so he gave me some cheat codes, and I played through the game, and I eventually finished it. And a lot of you might be wondering, what was this elusive game that got me interested in first-person shooters? Well, the game that got me into first-person shooters was none other than Doom 3. Until I had played Doom 3, I had never really consistently played a first-person shooter. I had tried a few of them, but I could never really get into them. Because Doom 3 was a scary game, I wanted to try it out and be frightened. And as a kid, it did scare me. And its gameplay was pretty damn good. Granted, I had never played super fast, ridiculous shooters like the new Doom that's on PS4 and Xbox One, but this was the game that got me into first-person shooters. Anyone who's ever like, God, I hate that Brett likes first-person shooters, here's the game you have to blame. And of course, years later, I found this copy of Doom 3, the Collector's Edition, at a flea market, and I got to experience for the first time Doom and Doom 2. Or more specifically, Ultimate Doom. And it was just an amazing experience for me. I now have, of course, this copy. I've got the Doom 3 BFG edition for the Xbox 360, and I have the new Doom on Xbox One. And overall, I just really dug the shit out of this game. Yes, the copy I played was just a regular Doom 3, otherwise back then I probably would have played Ultimate Doom and Doom 2. But I thought it was really neat that I found this copy of the Doom 3 Limited Collector's Edition at a flea market for like $5. which was neat. I'm pretty sure the guy gave me a discount too, because he was actually advertising them for $10, and when I knew what it was and I picked it up, he's like, just give me $5 for it. So yeah, Doom 3 is the game that got me into first-person shooters. And now today, I love a plethora of first-person shooters. The Darkness, the Fear series, Left 4 Dead, fucking Crysis, you know, Call of Duty even. You know, people are like, oh, I can't believe you like Call of Duty. It's fun to play. Leave me alone. But yeah, if you have anything to blame, it's Doom 3. This is the game that made me love first-person shooters. This next story is one of two tales I will tell to you today, where the fact that my family is not... I don't want to say we're poor, because my mother gets offended when she's like, why do you tell people we were poor? We weren't as fortunate as other families. I had to usually take what I could get. And this will be the first of two tales where the fact that we would usually go for the cheaper option really changed who I am as a gamer. I mentioned in the last story that Doom 3 was the first shooter I'd ever really played. But had this situation gone differently, I probably would have played another type of shooter a lot faster on the Xbox. As a kid, I never had an Xbox. When I was little, I had, you know, a PS2, an SNES, and an NES. That's pretty much what I had. But I remember one day, you know, I think it was around either my birthday or Christmas, my mother and my grandmother were going to chip in, and they were going to buy me an Xbox. And I was excited. I was going through my head, I was like, what can I get on the Xbox? Oh man, I want to try that Halo 2, and I don't remember what else there was, but I knew Halo 2 was on the Xbox. And of course, watching that video you watched, it probably would have been bittersweet had I got it. But I remember we went to a Kmart back when they still existed around here, and we got to the game shelf, and there it was, the Xbox, and a whole bunch of games. And of course, the guy was trying to sell it to my mom. You know, he was telling her all the interesting things you could do. Like, I didn't even know you could download, you know, CDs onto the Xbox and you could play music. You could use it as a music player. That was really interesting to me as a kid. Nowadays, it's like, I can do that with my fucking phone. But I didn't get the Xbox. See, the Xbox was $200 at the time. My mother and grandmother had no idea that it would be so expensive. But they did notice something else. And what I'm about to hold up isn't technically a controller, but it looks like it, so shut up. They did notice something else. They noticed that there was the GameCube, and it was being sold for $99. I don't remember how long ago this was. You guys can check the dates. The GameCube was being sold for $99, and I got a silver one. I got a silver GameCube instead of a black Xbox. Anywho, this forever changed who I could have been as a gamer. Imagine if I had gotten that Xbox. I would have played Halo and probably a lot of other types of shooters and stuff on the Xbox, and who knows what I would have missed out, because when I got the GameCube, I got to experience a whole bunch of stuff back here. I got to experience things like Eternal Darkness, really scratching at my horror love. I got to experience Zelda for the first time. The first Zelda game I ever played was Ocarina of Time. I played it on one of those collection discs that had Majora's Mask and Zelda 1 and Zelda 2. I eventually played the others, and I haven't ever really finished Majora's Mask, but my first Zelda experience was Ocarina of Time, which was an amazing experience for me. And I know it was an N64 game, but I had never played it, and it was fantastic on that GameCube disc. I got to experience things like the Splinter Cell series. I didn't know if it was on PS2, and I didn't have the Xbox, so I got the Splinter Cell games on the GameCube, and I played, you know, Splinter Cell, Pandora Tomorrow, Chaos Theory. It was amazing. I eventually played Double Agent, and all of you may not know this, but the games, the Splinter Cell games, Double Agent is different depending on which system you get it on. I played the PS2, the GameCube, and the Xbox 360 copies, and they're all different depending on what system you're playing on. Not just like, oh, they look different. I mean, the gameplay styles are different. They're different games, so it was really interesting seeing that. I got, you know, all the Resident Evils were easy to get on the GameCube because as a kid I couldn't find the PS1 copies. I mean, now I found them, you know, they're easy to track down. You know, I could use Amazon at any time. But I got, you know, all the Resident Evils on GameCube. And to give you guys another idea of when I got the GameCube, Resident Evil 4 had just come out. Resident Evil 4 was my first GameCube game. And I played the shit out of it. Now, by today's standards, I realize what Resident Evil 4 is. It's kind of just a prototypical third-person shooter. But back as a kid playing that, learning it, you know, eventually I got a strategy guide and went through it and mastered it. It was an exhilarating experience. But I think back about how if I hadn't gotten that GameCube and instead gotten an Xbox, what would I have missed out on, and how would I be different today? How would my pedigree of gaming be today had I gotten a different system? It's this type of thing that I think about sometimes, and it's why my next story that I'm going to tell you is probably a pretty important one. The last little gaming story I want to tell you is probably the most important one of all. This here is my favorite game. Not my favorite PlayStation 1 game. That title goes to Ape Escape. Not my favorite RPG. It's just my favorite game. I played this game a lot. I like to go through it in its entirety at least once a year. It's just a great little game for me. I know other people don't like it. My buddy Devil Dog toured a new one. But it's still my favorite game. And the crazy thing is, I came really close to never playing this. You see, what happened years ago as a young kid, I wanted to go to Walmart and get a new game. I gotta clean this case off. Fuck. I wanted to go to Walmart and get a new game. And when I was at Walmart, I noticed that there was this DBZ game. And I don't remember what PlayStation 1 DBZ fighting games were, but it had sprites and it was 2D and it was just really, by today's standards, it was very boring. But as a kid, I wanted to play it. And I was with my grandmother. Nana has bought me, to my knowledge, maybe 3 or 4 games my entire fucking life. Which is why I always crack up when people are like, oh, you get your mom and your grandma to buy all your games. Go fuck yourself, trolls. My Nana hates games. And, well, she doesn't hate games. She hates my games. She likes her games. She likes Mario and fucking all that stuff. But she doesn't like buying games for me at all. So she's bought, to my knowledge, 3 or 4 my entire life. Well, she was with me and she was going to buy me a game. And I was like, I want the DBZ game. And she looked at the DBZ game and she's like, that's $20. That's way too much. And here's the crazy thing. Next to it was Legend of Dragoon. I didn't even see Legend of Dragoon. I wasn't even paying attention to Legend of Dragoon. I didn't know what Legend of Dragoon was. But she pointed at it and said, this game here's $15. How about we get you this instead? And I was like, but I want the DBZ game. And my grandmother, who I know is devious as fuck, she was going to do one of two things. She was going to buy me Legend of Dragoon, or I was going to walk out of there with nothing. Anybody had that kind of grandma, that kind of mama? Yeah, that's how Nana was. You get this, or you get nothing. So I was like, fine, I'll play that game. And so she bought it. And I remember on the ride home, I was looking through the booklet, and I was reading up on it. I was like, wow, this looks interesting. And then I took it home, and I popped it in my system, and I started playing it. And I was forever fucking changed. The Legend of Dragoon was amazing. I loved it. It was something new. I had never really experienced an RPG like that. I had played a few of them, like Final Fantasy on the NES, and the real one that hurts, Legend of the Seven Stars on SNES, which I was way too stupid to comprehend at the time, and I'll never get another copy of that game back. Anywho, I had played a few different RPGs, but I hadn't comprehended them. At this point, I was old enough to know what I was doing. And I played that game religiously. The problem was, for the first few days, I didn't have a memory card. I didn't know I'd need one for that type of game. And so I played through the game's beginning over and over and over again. I know the beginning of Legend of Dragoon all the way to the attack in the cave, the boss fight in the cave. I know that section of the game like the back of my dick because I played it over and over and over again for a few days trying to get a little bit further, but I couldn't because I'd have to start all over when I turned the system off. A lot of people are like, why didn't you just leave the system on? Because I wasn't an idiot. I don't want to burn my fucking house down. And so I played that game over and over and over and over again, that first beginning area, and then I finally begged my mother for a memory card. And from there on out, the rest is history. I played through it, experienced the adventure of Dart and friends, learned about the 108th fruit, the god of destruction, the creator Soa's will, all these crazy and amazing things in that game. And here's the thing. If she had just been like, I'll spend the extra $5, I could have gotten DBZ and never experienced it. So I'm curious exactly how many different types of stories you guys have. When was it that you decided to get something instead of another game? When was it that you got this system over that system? When was it that you decided, I want this game instead of that game? What happened to you that now you're glad it happened to you because it could have really changed how you are today as a game player? I'm curious of what stories you have. So please put them down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed hearing my little stories, drop me a thumbs up. And if you didn't like this and you hope that that snake in the cave eats my face for the 108th time, go ahead and drop a dislike. Do take care, everybody, and thank you for watching.